Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Today is the 27th of February 2025, and the days have passed us uh, in rapid form, and it's already February. It seems like a few days ago we were celebrating the new year coming in 2025. So I hope everybody's doing well. And if you don't know, now you know you're listening to House Calls with your man, Dr. Rory T. Edwards, in the flesh. Round of applause, round of applause. Now, I'd like to thank everybody who's joining in and who will join in and who has continued to support the House Calls episodes with your man, Dr. Rory T. Edwards, because it's not only enlightening for me, it's very enlightening that I'm able to share some important information and some gems that I think will give people an opportunity to sort of reflect and sort of have an idea of what's going on in their life and how some of this information could be very useful to them, but also can be shared with others in their lives or in their circles that may need a different outlook on things. And so today, we're talking about scars. And I want to start off with a story about that because actually scars was not the topic for today. I had a whole different topic that I was going to jump on, but I picked scars because of a phase of my life that I'm currently in. And let me share this quick story for you. But before I go into the story again, let me let you know you're listening to House Calls with Dr. Rory T. Edwards. We take definitely take your time very seriously. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can send us an email at www. No, excuse me. Yeah, email at www.rorytedwards.com, or you can send us an email at rorytedwards1 at gmail.com. So, how did I get to this episode today of Scars? Well, for some of those people who talk to me on a regularly, you know that I'm a little incapacitated now. Recently, I just had, excuse me, so you know this is live, it's not Memorex. Um, I just recently had two surgeries. One, I had to get my left knee scoped, and right after that, a week later, I had done a little damage to my shoulder, but I didn't think it was that bad until I got it assessed and realized that I had a torn rotator cuff. And I would tell people that if you have a torn rotator cuff, please, um, that is some pain that I never ever would want to give to my worst enemy. Definitely, that's some pain, and understanding that the difference in life with one wing versus two wings is immense, immense. So, how did I come to this? So the other day I was at physical therapy and I was sitting on a table and there was a lady who walked by, and very seldom do I ever wear shorts, but I don't know why on this day I wore shorts. And as the lady walked by, she saw the scar on my knee from my previous surgery of total knee replacement. And she says, "Oh my God, how did that surgery go? Because the doctors are talking to me about getting total knee replacement, and I don't know if I really want to get it." And I said, "Well, it's a very difficult surgery, and I would need a lot of time to really explain to you how it affected me." Now, why am I saying that? Because if people have seen me in the past and you've seen pictures that I've been in, I always wore a brace over that knee. And it wasn't because the knee was unstable, it was because I was ashamed of the scar, first and foremost, because sometimes we have taken scars in our life and made them look like we're vulnerable, like we're weak. And I usually hid the scar because I also never wanted to have the conversation with people about what happened, how did you get that scar, and what was it like recovering from that scar. But the thing is that uh, you know, I realized the scars are just like the song that Houdini and them put out in back in the day, talking about friends, right? They said, "Friends, how many of us have them?" And the scars are the same thing. How many of us have scars? And the answer is we all have them. Some are visible, etched into our skin like battle wounds, reminders of the moment that shaped us. Others are hidden deep within the psychological scars and the psychological scars that we sometimes try to submerge because what they do is they tell the stories of our pain, our survival, and also of our resilience. But what if we stop seeing the scars as flaws, instead recognize them as evidence of our journey of strength, resilience, and transformation? And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I want to sort of separate the two from the external scars and the internal scars because I think that both the external scars and the internal scars are exploring can explore it in an informal, profound way that you look at what these mean. And why do I say that? Because today, what we're going to talk about, I want to really concentrate on a few areas. And one are the physical scars. These scars are more than skin deep, but I want to talk about those. The second thing I want to talk about is the emotional and psychological scars, the unseen wounds that many of us go through life trying to camouflage and making ourselves believe that if we don't speak about these things, if we don't release these things, then these things go away. And that's, if you listen to my last week's episode, you will realize that some of those things can cause the karma that some of us have to live with. What about the third thing I want to talk about is the generational and cultural scars? Because some of us still do live through some of that and not realizing that it does transfer from generation to generation. And then what is the fourth thing? One of the things I always talk about is I'm not going to open my mouth and say anything if I don't have a solution for you. So the fourth process is going to be the healing process, turning these scars into strength. So let's go back to the first one, the physical scars. They're more than skin deep. How physical scars tell stories of our survival, accidents, and life experiences. You know, all of us in some form or fashion are going to run into, if you live long enough, or you don't have to live, it's not about, scars have nothing to do with age. Kids are out playing, they fall, they do something, they cause a cut that will last them their lifetime. How do people come back and look at these scars and talk about that situation? What did that situation do to them that brought them into a situation where that scar always reminds them of that particular moment? What about an accident? A lot of people are driving. There's some people out here who need their license revoked immediately. But what happens in a situation where you're driving and someone who's intoxicated, someone who is overly tired, someone who's on their phone, someone who's just not paying attention, has an accident with you and causes you to have to be transported to the emergency room and automatically receive um, some emergency treatment? What happens when you wake up and you see the scar that was now a part of that accident? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? How do you also deal with the life experiences that may have been scars in something that was generated by words? It was generated by words, or was generated by something that you were not aware of, and just not paying attention, you walked into something and you cut your head, or you did something that created a scar. How do you live with that scar? Is that scar something that you talk to people about, or is that scar something that you try to hide? What is the psychological impact of visual scars, self-perception, and societal judgment? Some people may be like me. Some people may see these scars and have these scars, but we try to hide them because we don't want to relive the situation, or we don't want to talk about the situation, or we may not want to engage with people who may be looking at you, and your perception of them thinking about you is that you are now vulnerable. And so what is the psychological effect of the physical scars that we go through on a daily basis? And what about the third thing? The third thing, the power of embracing our scars rather than feeling ashamed of them. Like I said, if you go through life, I can guarantee you're going to have some scars. There's going to be some times that you may need something that comes with age. You just may need an operation that comes with age, and it's going to be a scar. So instead of you looking at the scar as something that I'm ashamed of, you look at it as, I survived this opportunity. What about people who have physical scars and want to cover them up with tattoos and sometimes don't realize that when people see the amazing art that you put over the scar with the tattoo, they then see the scar and then ask you, so was the tattoo to complement the scar? Was the tattoo something to hide the scar? And you engage in a conversation with people about the scar. So those are the things that I think are more or less the physical scars that are more than skin deep. Now let's go to number two, the emotional and psychological scars, the unseen wounds. What about childhood trauma, betrayals, and heartbreaks that shape who we become? So many people believe that childhood trauma is something that goes away when you become an adult. And a lot of times the childhood trauma is what carries over into you becoming um, um, an adult. Uh, there's the saying that says, you know, I would, it's easier to repair broken children than it is to prepare broken men. And so as we look at the childhood trauma, some of the things that were inflicted on us, some of the things that we've encountered, we may have been in a situation where we were born or brought up in a single parent family, and we have a significant other who comes into the family and is very disrespectful as you grow up, and you have to deal with it because you're a child, and the fact that you want to get out the house so quick because of that type of interaction with that adult makes you think that all people of that gender may be like that. And so it kind of deters you from interacting positively because of that one situation. Now that's where we go into betrayal. Betrayal is also something that you may think that you're involved with someone or some relationship, and that relationship becomes very toxic and it becomes very intense with the way that you engage. And so you look at, well, this person's supposed to really support me, and now they're betraying me. And that is the things that sometimes can inflict those internal scars that sometimes we believe we can make them submissive, and they won't affect us, but they do come back because we don't understand the triggers, and then sometimes people say things that trigger some of those same mental scars. Now, what about the heartbreak? See, most people think that uh, the heart is secondary to the brain, but let me explain to you that the heart is the primary thought process that changes the way we react to certain things. Now, people say if you change your mind, you change your thoughts. If you change your thoughts, you change your outcomes. But I'm here to rebuke that, and I rebuke that. I'm here to refute that and say that if you ever had a broken heart, no matter what you think about, no matter how you think, no matter what you do, your heart still generates all of the particular endorphins that your brain release that make you think that your brain is not in charge. It lets you know that your heart is still in control of your emotions, how you feel about things, the scars that are developed internally from your heart being broken. And it's very hard to get those two to connect until you realize that you're going to let go of that pain, and you are going to send the messages to your brain from your heart to say that I am now ready and willing to navigate through that process with both of you collectively. And so once your heart releases that pain or that scar, that internal scar, your brain would then follow. So when people say, oh, change your thoughts, I may have said, change your thoughts, you can change your outcomes. If your heart is involved, it's going to be very difficult for your thoughts to change your heart. Your heart is the controlling factor of how you address those internal scars. Now let's go to um, how unhealed wounds, they manifest in our behavior, relationship, and self-worth. If you've been mistreated by anybody, if you've been mistreated, you mistreated yourself. If you've been involved in activities that have caused you at a younger age or sometime in your life to be involved in some type of alcohol abuse, some type of physical abuse, some type of drug abuse, some type of abuse, those unhealed wounds will manifest in your everyday activity. You may not realize it. You may think that you've recovered, but you still harbor some of those scars that you never address, because what happens is if something happens, you always revert back to that to say that this is where I found self-worth. I found self-worth in the bottle, so that's why I drink. I found self-worth in the drugs, so that's why I was physical. I found self-worth in fighting because it made me be somebody. And that's where those scars come in. They are unhealed wounds that manifest through situations that we never addressed. So many people are afraid, especially people of color, to go out and see a therapist. And so I'm going to defer real quick to that's what we do here at the Rory T. Edwards Group. We are people who have worked diligently to acquire the qualifications of helping you to navigate through some of those traumatic experiences and to elevate yourself to where you're supposed to be in this particular world and not what other people believe that you are, and then also believing that the substance or the unhealed wounds dictate your self-worth. So I know some people may know me and say, well, Rory, I know you, and I don't want to really share all of my inner personal thoughts with you. But if you really do know me, if you really do know me, you know that no matter what I put my mind to, when I put my professional expertise to, it's going to be about the outcome. It's not about, I've never been a gossiper. I never ran out and told people's business. What you share with me is between you and I and God. And so if you're really looking for someone to help you to navigate some of these unhealed trauma, unhealed behaviors, unhealed relationships that have scarred you internally, you might want to look into the Rory T. Edwards Group, and that you can reach us at www.rorytedwards.com. Let's talk about the third thing of the emotional and psychological scars, the challenges of acknowledging pain rather than suppressing it. For anybody I work with, the first thing I tell you is that once you identify the pain, we then set up a process for you to release that pain. See, the universe knows all the pain that we go through because, see, the universe and the brain are all connected to when man first became cognitive, right? That's what the brain is connected. The brain hasn't always been the same way that it is now. It's developed over the years. And, some people say, and I like what Dr. Umar Johnson says when they say we evolved from apes. And he says, well, if we evolved from apes, why do we still have apes then? Right? So they try to connect us to some things to make us look like we're animalistic type. We have animalistic behaviors, but why are there still apes if we evolved from apes? So anyway, as we evolved from Homo sapiens and we've grown through the years, just please believe that the brain hasn't changed. The brain is still the same. The brain still endures all of what the universe has gone through and all of the pain that people have gone through. And so the brain still develops that. So when we look at this, when we look at some of the situations, we wonder, why is this affecting me? Because it's part of your DNA. If you don't know where you came from, if you don't know who you're attached to, if you don't know the pain that your family members might have went through, and this is transferred through your DNA, then sometimes you don't understand why you're going through the pain. And so you have to understand that you have to find an avenue to release it instead of suppressing it. You think if you put something lower than your average daily conversations that it will never come to light. It will come to light. It will. Because people who don't know you may say something that triggers that thought, may trigger that situation, may trigger that action, that generates that energy, that suppresses, that takes that out of suppression and catapults it into your thought process, and then you react to it. So you have to understand that sometimes acknowledging pain is better than suppressing pain. And sometimes we don't have the capacity to suppress pain, because what we do when we suppress pain is that we lock it into a place that blocks the possibility of us receiving the blessings that are due to us once we accept the fact that I deserve a better life from the eternal scars that have been holding me back for all of this time. Now let's go into the generational and cultural scars, the legacy we carry. Now everybody knows I speak about legacy. My legacy is that for my children, for those who come in contact with me, for those who have been a part of my life, know that it's all about legacy for me. When I leave here, when you leave here, you want people to remember you by the great things that you did to change their lives, not about the opportunities you took to talk about what you've accomplished. Because guess what? None of that stuff you accomplish you can take with you. You better hope that the people who you leave it to, or the people that you leave behind, remember and talk about you. I've been to the cemetery to visit my father, grandmother, aunt, godmother, things of those natures, and I don't see standing room only at the the graveyard because so many people are forgotten because they didn't create a legacy. They didn't create something that people wanted to come and tell them that this is, you see who I am now. You see who I am, and all of this is because of you. That's what a legacy is. You go to the people who created you to be who you are, and you tell them, this is who I am now. This is what you add. This is what you wanted for me. I'm telling you, I'm here to show you what it is. So let's go to the generational and cultural scars. The scars that are passed around down through history, racism, oppression, and systematic injustices. We know that there are many groups who have been uh, put into put into major situations where they have been affected by the negative mindset of those who believe that they're better than these particular people. And one of those things that one people don't really want to talk about is the enslavement of black people. If you look at my Facebook page, that's why I put up the picture of with Mike, because of his back. His back speaks of generational and cultural scars that until that man passed, everybody who saw that him personally and everybody who sees that picture realizes the impact of generational and cultural scars, and also the effects of racism and history and systematic injustices. And what could that man do to receive a punishment like that, that he's still alive? Because you want people to see that if you step out of line, this is what can happen to you. And that is the mental scars that we carry. Even though it's external, internally, that man endured all of that pain for people to say, I want you to be alive because I want everybody to see that if you step out of line, that's what's going to happen. And that's a lot of situations that we go through right now in your jobs, in your relationships, in situations that you are engaged in the conversations that are happening right now. People are telling you, if you step out of line, I'm going to show you where you belong. And it's the fact that these internal scars are also very external because we see how we move and how we operate through this process. What is some of the other things? The breaking the cycle of generational trauma with families and communities, that's generational scars. See, some people say, well, we were supposed to be here. We ain't supposed to be nowhere. Nobody is supposed to be anywhere. I want to let you know, let you in on a secret. See, the Creator gave everybody an opportunity to have a plan of execution and action. And if you don't pursue that, then you will become somebody else's puppet. We need to understand that we were never put on this earth, and as we continue from the enslaved part of things, as we continue, we were never put on this particular earth to follow someone else's agenda. When we finally did um, get, I don't even want to use the word free. We weren't supposed to be freed by some other man's words, but when we talk about when we were able to be independent of, of the whip and of the culture, it still continued because we had to endure the fact that the people who enslaved us thought still we were second-class citizens. And sometimes most of us, and not most of us, a lot of us still believe that we are second class. And that's what they're talking about, breaking cycles of generational trauma. We are not second class. Don't say that this situation is who I'm supposed to be. It's not who you're supposed to be. You were put on this earth by a creator who is greater than any man could ever be. And if he still has you here, that means you still have a purpose that you need to fulfill. And that's why he has you here. So we need to stop thinking that we are supposed to be second class. We got to stop thinking that we are supposed to be somebody else's whipping boy or whipping girl, or that we can be spoken to in any way. We have to also change the way we speak to one another and the way we see one another. We have to, if we're going to uplift one another, we have to be able to understand and recognize the greatness that the Creator has put in us. And don't look at me and say, well, I don't know if you're going to fill the role. It's not that I'm able to fill the role. You're afraid to fill the role because you're inadequate. And those are some internal scars that you have gone through and you have not uh, recognized yet. See, some people get in power and don't bring others who look like them, and then they're saying, "Why are we not growing?" We're not growing because you're afraid to grow. You're afraid to grow, and you're afraid to be found out. And so, if you are afraid to be found out, there's some internal scars that you need to look at and you need to address. And you need to understand that the way we break these cycles of internal scars is to be true to who we are. So that's the second one. Let's go to the third one. The responsibility of healing, not just for ourselves, but our future generations. When you're blessed to have children, right? I've been working in environments where there have been women who really want children, I think would be a great mother, but they don't have the ability to bear children. And there are some women out here who have multiple children and don't take care of any of them. See, when you look at the fact that you have the responsibility of caring, of sharing, and of changing the lives of future generations through your words, your actions, your determination, your ability to leave a legacy and talk about a legacy. That's how we get rid of those internal scars. That's how we do that. That's the purpose of that, is that when you're giving an opportunity to be responsible for someone else, you have to give it your all. You have to be at your best. And you have to realize that you're not just creating a person, you're creating a future generation of individuals that will continue to share our greatness. And so you have to do all that. So now that I went through those three, let's go to what the fourth thing is, the healing process, turning scars into strength. I'm just going to run through these. I'm not going to really talk about them too much, but the healing process, turning scars into strengths, learning to see scars as symbols of resilience rather than reminder of pain. So if you have a scar and you're going through it, let people see that scar. Let people know that you were able to have some pain, address that pain, and now relieve that pain and become a holistic individual. Again, you're growing through that pain. You were able to endure it and go through it. And that pain is not something that you're going to stop at. You're going to keep pushing through. You're going to keep pushing through until you get the outcome that you desire and deserve. What's the second one? The importance of therapy, self-reflection, and community support. Now, you know I'm going to lean on that therapy again. That's what we do here at the Rory T. Edwards Group. We help you to navigate through the pain through our Empower 9 Wellness Program. Our Empower 9 Wellness Program not only addresses what you think may be your greatest pain, it addresses all of the other entities that create you as a holistic being. We address those through an assessment for which you will then evaluate some of the journey that you have been on, and we may come up with a different outcome based on what you think your pain is. So you may say, I'm going to give you an example. You may say, wow, I'm really having a hard time financially because I'm not able to make ends meet. And the bottom line is that you say, well, I'm having hard times because of financial difficulties. And we may look at it and find out that you're having difficulties because the occupation that you chose, or what's the motto of the Rory T. Edwards Group? You can't withdraw what you did not deposit. So what you deposit into your life account only puts you in a certain group of individuals who are able to acquire a certain amount of income. So that's why you're having financial issues, is because of um, your educational opportunities, and also some of the other things that you didn't put into your life account. So what's the third one? How embracing and sharing our stories empower others to heal. So if you're going through, a particular concern of a surgery or something like that that may give you a scar, look at other people who may have had the surgery and ask them, what do they think about it? What is the process? What is the healing process? What is the mental process that you have to go through to actually understand what that looks like? See, many of us are suffering on a daily basis because we don't realize why we are experiencing what we are experiencing. And a lot of it has to do with the internal scars And instead of just recognizing the external scars, realize that the internal scars are much more powerful than we could ever imagine. And they come from so many aspects of our life that we tend not to address. And so, I know this was one that should and may resonate with a lot of people because some people are walking around wondering, I don't have the answers to why am I feeling this way. Well, you have to look at what are the internal scars doing to you that cause you to perform and behave and emotionally respond externally. And then you have to look at the external scars and say, it's the fact that I was able to survive with resiliency and come back to be holistic again. And that's what we're talking about today, scars. How many of us have them? We all have them. And so with that being said, I hope that you do address your internal and external scars with vigor, with resilience, with the fact that they are the creation of who I am and the journey that I've been on. And the only thing I've done is address them with resiliency. And I'm going to address them so that I become exactly what I'm supposed to become from the Creator's perspective of putting me on this earth. All right? So until we talk again, I want you to stay healthy. I want you to stay blessed. I want you to operate in resiliency. I want you to operate in the fact that you are amazing and you are great and that you're put here for that. And also if you need somebody to talk to, I'm telling you, I have a plethora of individuals who work and are ready to help you through the Rory T. Edwards group to get you on the path that you deserve and desire to be the greatest version of yourself. So until we talk again, until next week, hopefully we will be also engaging in a very, very intriguing topic. I look for your comments, I look for your questions, I look for your concerns, and I also want to say that we truly appreciate your support. And as we continue to drop knowledge, we ask you to do the same thing as you move forward in your lane of expertise. Address those internal scars so that you can be the best you can be in your journey in life. So until we talk again, you all be blessed. Like I said, Ashe, Rory T. Edwards is out.